Indian Army is a family, and it is not a job, it becomes your way of life.
So they thought we are the terrorists, started firing on us. 5-6 bullets went into his stomach and his intestine had come out. Things happen which you cannot explain. 2 individuals are no more with us.
This is a salute to Lieutenant Colonel Bhutani and to you, sir. Fantastic, sir. The heartwarming story, sir. I'm going to say something today. Speaking is a skill. Listening is an art. Now imagine somebody who is able to build an entire career and protect the country based on this art form. In my studio today, I have an amazing army officer who has spent 37 plus years in the Indian Army. He served during the early parts of his career in Sri Lanka, then in Jammu and Kashmir, a small stint in Siachen, and a fairly large amount of time in the northeast of India. His career has been focused on national security and operations that are not declared, not spoken about, and common people like you and I might not even hear about. But I have been fortunate to be able to call him to my studio, sit through, listen to these absolutely mind-blowing, action-packed stories. Major General Amitabh Joshi is my next guest. I would want you to carefully sit down, watch this podcast, and enjoy every bit of what we've covered in this last 1.5 hours. Click on the links, subscribe, like, and follow Arun Bhagwati Chronicles. Share our channel with your family and friends, and I hope you enjoy what is about to come. Welcome to Arun Bhagwati Chronicles, Major General Amitabh Joshi. Sir, I am so grateful that I've finally been able to call you for my podcast. This is our first interaction. It has taken me time, research, and effort to get you on here, sir. I am not just grateful, I am so intrigued by your entire career that today in my podcast, whatever time I have, I'm not sure if I'll be able to cover everything, but I'm going to welcome you once again. And thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much, Mr. Arun. It's a pleasure meeting you and coming on to your podcast. Thank you.
Sir, I am going to get right into my questions. My first question to you is that what is the primary role of intelligence in the Indian Army?
Well, the primary role of intelligence and as far as military intelligence concerned is there are 3-4 major aspects of collection of intelligence. One is what we usually come to see or know about is the intelligence about collecting intelligence about adversary nation, terrorist and things like that. So when you are collecting intelligence about somebody else is called acquisition intelligence because you are acquiring intelligence. The second facet is counterintelligence. The way we are wanting to collect intelligence, similar fashion, other adversary or other people are also wanting to collect intelligence about our nation, about our army and various things. So to stop that and not allow them to collect the intelligence is what comes in the domain of counterintelligence. Then also, besides these 2 major aspects of intelligence, some part of vigilance is also there, wherein if anybody in the services or some people who are trying to do some nefarious activity, which is beyond the code of conduct, that to check them and to correct them and to bring them to book is also one of the roles of military intelligence. And these 3 major roles, besides interaction on social media, because we know nowadays the way things are, the everybody is on social media, whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook, or any of these social media kind of things are on. So today generation, the young generation is so much into shooting, making reels, taking photographs, and sending them across. So all that, advertently or inadvertently, these photographs and what we talk or on WhatsApp messages, the information gets leaked. So to check that is also part of intelligence aspect overall when we talk about the role of military intelligence. Yeah.
So, sir, you mentioned acquisition, you mentioned counterintelligence, and third, what I've understood is it's surveillance.
Yes, you can call it surveillance, because surveillance is one of the methodology of collecting intelligence.
What is the difference between vigilance and surveillance?
Vigilance, surveillance is, if I want to know what Mr. Arun is doing today, I'll mount a surveillance on Mr. Arun and watch what time has he come out of his house, where has he gone, and what time he came back, what all he did in between, whom all he met. So that could be the part of my counterintelligence work, or it could be my acquisition work also, as to what Mr. Arun Bhagwati is up to. So that part is what is called surveillance. So I am mounting a surveillance on a person just to know what is he doing, where is he going, what is he doing, whom is he meeting, what activity is he trying to do. So surveillance in itself is not collection of intelligence. It is just a part of whole process, whether it is counterintelligence or it may be acquisition intelligence also sometime. So vigilance and surveillance are quite different thing. Vigilance is basically that a person who is doing nothing wrong or some that kind of vigilance is like you are interested with certain things. You may be custodian of arms, weapons, or some information for that matter, some important files. They are national secrets which are there with officers. So I, as if I'm as a senior officer, I'm having access to certain very sensitive information that should not get leaked out. So to that is counterintelligence, and in that is the part of surveillance. Whereas vigilance is basically related to some wrongdoing as far as finances are concerned, as far as some stores are concerned. Vigilance is basically that.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with intelligence as such.
Per se. Okay.
Per se.
Okay. So,
And one more thing about acquisition, if you allow me.
so
Yeah, when you acquire intelligence, you are acquiring intelligence about your adversary, and here we are talking about adversary nation, whichever you think you can go on war with, or maybe having war with, or even not having war. At least you want to know what all the strength, weaknesses, and positioning of that particular nation is, whether it is in terms of the army that they have, the equipment that they have, the armament that they have, what all kind of defenses they are having. When we talk about China and Pakistan and Bangladesh, one would like to know what all defense infrastructure that they have created in case we have to go in war, because we have had wars. We have had so many wars with Pakistan. We have had so many wars and skirmishes with China also. We have had war with Bangladesh, so we are lucky to have war with all the three neighbors, if I may use the word.
So why would you say lucky, sir?
That has trained us.
Okay. You're the first person who has said this. I'm a little startled, but yeah, I get your point that it gives you field training.
Yes, the point is If I have not had a war, how would I know what are my strengths and weaknesses? I have fought a war and I have won the war. India is the only country which has fought so many wars and have won all the wars minus 62 wars. 1962 war, because we were not at all prepared for that. And in all wars, Indian Army has come up as a valiant army. So that is the regard of Indian Army. And everybody acknowledges. Nowhere in the world, there's no parallel that 93,000 soldiers have been captured and were made to surrender, along with the lieutenant general and so much of armament and ammunition. It's only and only Indian Army. So that's a matter of pride.
Huge pride, sir.
Yes, that's a matter of pride.
Sir, can you share the story of an operation, a successful operation that you've done during your career?
Oh.
Many, but
And that's a difficult question to answer, sir. You see, as I told you earlier, I got commissioned into infantry. Stayed in infantry for about 8.5, 9 years approx. And then I was selected to come into intelligence. And thereafter, these 30, in total 40 years approx career of mine in army, been in intelligence. Then I don't know how many operations, it's difficult to count, sir. And I have been to LTT in Sri Lanka, part of the LTT war. War, or you can say peacekeeping, Indian peacekeeping force, we were part of that. For 18 months I was in Sri Lanka. So did operations in Sri Lanka also. Thereafter, Punjab, Kashmir, Northeast, you name it, and been in action. So
any one story that
difficult to say or talk about a particular story. Yes, I was in Observe Vinash. If you may have heard Observe Vinash in Pir Panjal ranges, where the forces were moved from both sides, from valley and from Rajouri Punj side, and we captured lot many terrorists, killed lot many terrorists. Then we were part of Warwan Valley operations. There is a valley in the Warwan area. It's just called Warwan Valley. Very beautiful. It's like more beautiful than Switzerland. Yes, certainly.
where, sir, can you tell me the location?
Yes, it is on the reverse slope of Amarnath Hills.
Southern side.
Yes, southern slopes. You climb down from there and you land into Warwan Valley. When we went for operation in Warwan Valley, we had to walk 2 days almost. There was no road then. Now the road is gone. So we were there in operation for about 4-5 weeks, and a lot many terrorists were there. So they were all, because that time, I'm talking about 2000 and all. That period, there were a lot of attacks on Amarnath Yatris took place and a lot of casualties happened.
I remember.
So the one single point agenda of governor at that time, General Sinha was the governor. That 2002-3, the Yatra should be safe. There should be no action on Yatra, no lives lost on Amarnath Yatra. So for that, a very good amount of intelligence people, and I was heading the team of intelligence, and a lot of forces, good about 2 battalion, 3 battalion force was there, who went and cleared the Warwan Valley, because terrorists used to hide there, come and do this action, go back, cause casualty. So that was there. Then to collect intelligence, one had to really, I don't know, I should disclose this or not, but one had to work as a undercover agent many times, and as a radio mechanic I had worked, as a clerk, casual clerk in the offices and courtroom, one has done that. Because this I'm talking about 89, 90. That time, the terrorism, the militancy in Kashmir was in peak. Nara-e Takbir and Pakistan Zindabad was the in thing. Every now and then you used to hear these shouts, and it was a bad time those days. And since Indian Army has just moved in about year and a half back, there was hardly no much intelligence available. So to collect intelligence, a lot of things were being done. Even certain terrorists were kind of brainwashed. You can say they were not brainwashed. I mean, they were brought back into the system. The reverse kind of
Hiring.
yes, so that they would give us information and help us carry out operations. That also we had done. So many things went on in Northeast also. A lot of operations of this nature were carried out. But if I were to single out one particular operation, is I will not call it an operation. It's a ongoing. It was an ongoing process for about almost 13, 14 months. This was in Tezpur and Guwahati. That time, 2000, 2011, 12, I'm talking about. So we could convince 3 groups. I'm talking about our people, and where I was personally involved and heading the team. We could convince 3 different groups, UKD, KLA, KRA, that is Cookie Army, Cookie Liberation Army, and all that. 600, 700 people approx terrorists. They surrendered arms to the then Home Minister, Mr. Chidambaram, and the then Chief Minister, Mr. Tarun Gogoi. A big ceremony was carried out in the indoor stadium that time, and some 700 people surrendered. Out of them, 270 people were convinced by us to leave arms and join the mainstream.
I want to ask you something. Were camps made for them separately?
Yes. Later on, the camps were made, and they were brought into the mainstream. So those 270 boys, men who were with arms, laid arms on that date, 24 January 2012 was the date. And imagine the amount of lives was saved that particular day and beyond. Otherwise, they would have carried operation. Their families of theirs also, because somebody may have got killed later on in operation while fighting, or they would have killed some people. So their family. So amount of people, you see, the good work was done. So instead of operation as such, which were many terrorists killed, I don't know how many operations I have been to. So I would regard that as a thing which was of consequence, wherein we could really make a difference. And the whole terrorism or militancy, I would say, not terrorism, in parts of Northeast and Guwahati was brought down subsequently because of this one single surrender. And out of the 270 odd surrenders were carried out by us.
So if I can connect this to my audience, I would like to tell them this one thing, that in the Indian Army, operations is not always with guns and going gun blazing and smashing and killing people. A lot of operations is done like this also, where the trouble is halted. It's brought to a standstill. Let me know if I'm going wrong, sir.
Yes.
And this is one of the most interesting ones that I've heard, is because before you, I interviewed Major General Gajinder Singh.
Oh, God.
and he was talking about this same operation in a different way. You have gone ahead and brought it full circle. That story has come full circle on my podcast because he spoke about the other side. That's the reason I asked you about the camp. He spoke about the other side of how they were struggling to calmly make them keep their guns down. It is known that the Indian Army will eventually take over. If you have to go gun blazing against the Indian Army, you cannot stand it.
I mean, look, killing is not the answer. And who are we killing? Our own boys. They're countrymen.
Yeah.
They have their grievance with the government or governance or certain administrative issues. Point taken. But that doesn't mean that they are our enemy and we shall go gun blazing, kill them all. Yeah, the might of Indian Army, I don't have to say any word on that. So, a boy of 18, 20 years, 25 years, and the might of Indian Army, I mean, it's like you are trying to, what? I mean, there's no match. There's no comparison. So why should we go about killing people and bringing down or putting up across our point with force, with talking, with perseverance, with patience, we can bring out the better part of a human being and bring them into the mainstream so that they become part of the development of our nation and not by killing people, our own men, our own boys. He could be my brother, he could be my son. Why? So that is why I am saying that this particular operation, I say that it was one of the most successful operation I would.
I agree, sir. I completely agree.
That is why. Otherwise, one has killed many terrorist leaders, this, that. So, that is the job one has to do.
There are lots of stories that I've heard about operations where, there was a lot of action, but these are the ones that really intrigue me. These are the ones that I want my audience also to know that फौज में सिर्फ लोगों को मारते नहीं हैं, लोगों को बचाते भी हैं और इस तरह बचाते हैं. Negotiation must have. You said 13 months of negotiation.
Yes, you imagine a boy who is against you, who wants to kill you. I mean, if he till say prior 1 year prior to 24 Jan 2012, he was ready to fire at Indian Army. Yes or no? That is why he was having arm. He would fire at police. He would fire at Indian Army, and he will kill people. That's what they were doing. Even NDFB had killed 13 children in that van that they were children were going to school.
So for my audience, NDFB is
National Democratic Bodo Front. That is one of the terrorist organization. Mr. Ranjan Daimari was the militant head. I had a chance of talking to him also for 7 days. I have carried out
negotiations.
Well, if loosely put, interrogation, questioning, I would say, not negotiation. Somehow, Indian Army doesn't believe in negotiations.
Okay. Hard stance.
Yeah, whatever the stance, whatever is the point is straight. Even the many times you always, for that matter, you tell the terrorist, look, you put it on PA system or whatever kind of a loudspeaker you have, that please surrender. If you do not, then we'll fire and if you get killed, blame is not ours. If you surrender, you'll be saved. Because Indian Army believes that they are our own brethren. We are not here enemies. So if a person a boy who has gone haywire can be spoken to and convinced to join back the mainstream. So that being the aim, it is always, they are warned that please surrender your weapon or whatever firearm you are having and come out of the hiding place. Your life will be saved. So this kind of thing is always there. So Indian Army doesn't believe in negotiating. My point is that. Having said that, so this is how it is. And successful operations, so I have got many awards. If I give you the list, it'll look somewhere quite odd to talk about it, but I commanded 3 units. Out of them, 2 units got citation. And unit citation, I mean, some people who are aware, they understand what a unit citation mean for that CO. So as a CO, twice I've got unit citation of 3 units I commanded, 2 have got citation of that. And third one has got citation from General Sinha for having the peaceful Amarnath Yatra on that particular year. So he gave a special kind of citation to the unit that personally presented at Governor House in Kashmir.
Wow.
So that is how.
That's why I said, sir, it's an honor for me to have you here. It took me effort to get you here, but it's an honor, sir.
Thank you.
So my next question, have you experienced a genuine life and death, situation in your career? I'm sure you have, but if there's a story that you can share, I would be really happy.
Well, since you see the ethos of intelligence when we were collecting intelligence, when I was relatively young, the ethos is that when you have the intelligence is of a particular officer, whomsoever has brought the intelligence, shall go for the operation also. So we would lead our operation. That is how I have been to any number of operations. Can't tell you how many. I can't remember also. Life and death situation, again, as I said, there are many. To once or twice, so it has happened that got stuck and paid to the terrorist and come out of the situation. We'd gone for a particular some kind of a work beyond Srinagar, about 30-40 kilometers outside. And coming back, it was about maybe 4 in the evening. I mean, dusk was about to happen. So we're coming back in jeep. There was a boy with me and myself. There were only 2 in the jeep. And we saw there was a barrier on the road, across the road, and there were 3 chaps standing there. The AK was seen through his firan. You know what is firan? The firan is that long coat that Kashmiri wear during winters. That long with knee length kurta kind of thing, which is woolen. So that's called firan. So if AK-47 you are having on your shoulder, it poke out. So it was poking out from the firan. So we say it's a terrorist, and he had put a bamboo across the road. He was collecting money, tax. So we also, I said, yaar, paise nikal. So we took out a 100 rupees note and it was on the windscreen, showed it. So he came, gave him the money, and quietly lifted up the barrier and we passed. So this is also, I mean, had he come to know we are from intelligence, God knows what would have happened to us.
So were you in uniforms?
No.
No.
In Kashmir, hardly ever wore a uniform. In intelligence, तो फिर कैसे होगा? So you are always under disguise, some kind of a disguise. कभी डॉक्टर बन के जा रहे हो, कभी कंपाउंडर बन के जा रहे हो, कभी कुछ और बन के जा रहे हो. So all those things were there. So then second story of we had gone for an operation, and we were 2 chaps, one Havaldar Sayar and myself were there leading the operation. There are 2 company groups who were to cordon the particular a hamlet. About 10-12 houses were there. So we had the information, terrorists are hiding. Supposed to be 2 terrorists over there. So we went and we said, okay, we'll just go ahead and find out what is happening. One team was at place A, another team was one team was facing south, another team was facing from the north and northwest. They did not realize that it is we. We too were walking in the Firan, same thing, and merrily and going that side. So they thought we are the terrorists, started firing on us. And the feel of getting fire on you is different. So we straight away hit the ground, and luckily there was a divider on the road. So that were 2 feet, 2.5 feet high. We hid behind that. And people were started firing. And once the fire is on, then nobody sees what is happening.
So this is the army, Indian army shooting at you.
Yeah. Because they mistook us because there were two terrorists. We were also two and we were friends. So they said, ये तो है terrorist, हम तो फौजी है. So they started firing on us. So we said, I know what to do. So took out my waist, a white vest I was putting on inside, took out the vest to ऊपर किया, surrender type. So flagged that, so they realized something wrong. So they said, then shouted, once the fire stopped, then we shouted, अरे क्यों गोली मार रहे हो? They realized, okay, ये तो जोशी सर है. So ठीक है, fine, they stopped, and then we cordoned off. By then, because of fire, the terrorists got alerted. So they started firing on the troops. So troops started firing back. Oh, there was a mayhem.
So which year was this?
This was 2001, I think.
I mean, I shouldn't ask, but I'm just taking the liberty. Have you been shot, sir?
No.
Graze or anything?
Thank God, I have not been shot. But one has, in Sri Lanka again, similar thing happened. We had gone for a kind of, it was information that one terrorists are passing, LTT terrorists are passing through this particular section of the track road. So we laid an ambush. There was a chap on cycle and was moving on the cycle. So we challenged. And this guy was having weapon on him.
In Sri Lanka?
Oh, in Sri Lanka. So he fired, M16 was with him, that powerful rifle. And the guy fired a shot. And on my flank was the sepoy. So this guy got a burst of 5-6 bullets on his stomach. And he fell down. And we started firing back, and the terrorist of LTT got killed. This guy, I turned back and asked, and this boy was alive, and he was trying to, his intestine had come out because of the burst stomach. That whole 5-6 bullets went into his stomach, and his stomach was open. He was trying to pull back his intestine into the stomach. And he said, Saab, ये तो अंदर नहीं जा रही है. I said, don't worry, I'll do something. I took out the shirt, tied his intestine on his stomach. By the time we brought him to the hospital, he succumbed to his injuries. So life and death situations one is seen with very close quarters. And God has been kind that somehow. And it recalls me of another incident. It's a very, very, it still gives me goosebumps. Huh? We had Officer Major Virk, very fine officer, very fine gentleman. He had come back from an operation at night about 2 o'clock, and I was leaving. So he had just walked in after the operation, so he said, Khana khalo. This boy, and showing him lantern in Sri Lanka. There was no light. So he was showing lantern light so that he can eat his food. And I just clicked photograph. Those Polaroid camera, not Polaroid, that sophistication was never there. Those wo chota 110 frame ka ek camera that
I remember ऐसे
करके click होता था. That used to come in canteen, some $100 odd.
Yes, sir.
And that camera was there, so we clicked a photograph on that, just like that. And believe you me, we lost Virk in Punjab and lost. So in that frame, there were two people, and both we have lost. That photograph is still lying in, it's with me, I kept it. We lost both those. So sometimes some things happen which are, you cannot explain. Why did I click photograph? At night, 2 o'clock, 2:30. I was going out on operation. I could have walked away to the operation. But something happened And I clicked that photograph, and those two individuals are no more with us, those who are in that frame.
So, does it hurt you sometimes?
Yes, it does. I mean, it gives you what came into the mind that one has clicked that photograph. And there's no relationship, there is no time that tomorrow the two different places, two different operations, apart by about 3 years almost, or maybe more.
And both dead.
Both did. His Virk's son is now in Australia, a doctor, and family is there. So one is, I mean, this life and death situation which you asked is totally different, and it's not that operation and you can glorify some kind of a bravado that I did this, I did that. The situation of life and death is always very different. The reaction of individual who is in that situation is also very different. A person who you think is always up and about, very fast, furious, may not act that way when in actual combat. A guy who is very calm, quiet, and unassuming, whom you think will not be able to even react when the firing takes place, will act totally differently. So these things are there when when you are in actual life and death situation. Action reaction of people are totally different.
Very true. Very true, sir. You must have encountered people like this. The quiet ones who are silent killers.
Yes, they show you some aspect of their personality which you had never even imagined or thought about. So situation of life and death is. I was commanding in Valley. There was an officer of Lucknow. His, I mean, life is very different and difficult. His mother and father were not there. He lost his father. Mother went and married somebody else. He was alone, raised by his grandfather. Very well read. I mean, from very good schools. Rimkolian, joined Armored Corps, came into intelligence. His first posting under me in Shupia. Those days, Shupia was like second Pakistan. He was he had gone for an operation to Shupia. It was his AOR also. It was his det. He was a det commander there of Shupia. He had married a lady called a girl called, and they were married just about 6-7 months. So he said, "Sir, I was feeling bored at home, Lucknow. They're from Lucknow." So he said she's there and she wants to join me. So please permit that I can bring my wife. They're just about 4, 5, 6 months married, into marriage. I said, "ठीक है." I granted them permission. We took. I mean, for people who are on field, you are not supposed to keep family. Took a special permission. Got him an accommodation from Air Force quota. There was his wife was staying in Air Force accommodation. My friend was there in Air Force. Requested him to provide 2 rooms for the lady, so she was staying there. And he was in Shupia, the hotbed of militancy those days, 2001, 2. I am talking about. He went for an operation. In operation, he was hit by 17 bullets. And we lost him. Young officer, married just about 5, 6 months into marriage. Young lady, girl. I imagine how you bring that. I went and brought back from that operation. And how I broke this news, I called my wife from Udhampur. She was in Udhampur. That night, I said, you come straight away. बोलते वो ऐसा क्या बम फट गया? I said, बम फट गया. She traveled from that same evening 6 o'clock. This ambush took place on him. He died. And by the time I said, you straight away come. The lady, his wife, was there. I said, you have to console and you have to be with her. So you please come. So she came. My daughter was just, I have a daughter and son. My daughter was just about 3-4 years old. They were staying in Udhampur because families were not permitted. And I mean, how the news was broken to the wife of Captain, and she said, मेरे को body देखना है next day in the hospital. We somehow, and his body was all ridden with bullets. So with great difficulty, we could just show her face of her. बोलती ये तो बिल्कुल सही दिख रहे हैं, ये तो इतना अच्छे से, and his face was not, I mean, there was no blemish on his face. The only body had so many bullets in it. And this happened later on when I was, he was from Lucknow. I mean, he was also from Lucknow. He was also from nearby Lucknow, over 2 hours from Lucknow. After about 2 years, I came back to Lucknow as a CO in Lucknow after field posting, peace posting. So Lucknow, and then I realized where the is. So brought her. She was still in bad shape. She was MA in English. She had done before marriage. So I told her, why don't you join army? Unki mother, her father was not there. Convinced her mother and trained her to join army, gave her coaching and all that. And today she is Lieutenant Colonel in Indian Army Education Corps.
Wow.
And her daughter, she married later on, and she has a daughter, Mrs. Lieutenant Colonel, not Mrs. X. So these are the things which one has seen with so close. So life and death situation are totally different, and operational things are very, very different.
You rounded up the story very well, sir.
And today she is Lieutenant Colonel Education Corps.
Where is she right now? In Lucknow?
Oh, she's posted somewhere in south, but she's and that's how things are. So life is different in army, and we have a character wherein everybody looks after the other, because one has seen life so closely, and one has been through so much of vagaries of life, if I may say so, that you want to reach out to people and do whatever best possible.
So I always say this on many of my podcasts. I say this, that the Indian Army is a family, and it is not a job. It becomes your way of life.
Absolutely.
And before I start the next question, sir, this is a salute to Lieutenant Colonel and to you, sir. Fantastic, sir. The heartwarming story, sir. Very nice.
It brings heaviness and tears to my eyes today also.
Sir, I am feeling uncomfortable listening to how you, I mean, like I was expecting a life and death situation story, like the way you mentioned, right? But the way you rounded up the story and spoke about Lieutenant Colonel, sir, hats off. Sir, this question has always intrigued me. Does the IB and the Army intelligence coordinate and work together? Do you have a story that you can share, sir?
Yes, of course. You see, in any field, when you work in cohesion, results are much better, and your picture gets more complete. Because in intelligence, always and every time you will not get the complete picture. You will get bits and pieces of information. You have to join the whole thing and understand what is happening. So in that aspect, a jointness is always most welcome thing. It's not one-upmanship, but jointness is almost always and every time it is required. And training that Indian Army people have and the military intelligence people have is very, very, very robust kind of training and detailed training. So the action reaction of military intelligence people is also quite different, if I may use this phrase. Now, who is good or who is bad is not the point here. They are as good as anybody else, and military intelligence also as good as anybody, any of the other intelligence in the field. But when we talk about in field, cooperation is required. Without cooperating, you cannot do much. Only on standalone, you cannot achieve results. So, kind of coordinated effort of intelligence with IB, RAW, and MI. And when you are in field area, it has to be more so because resources are less and sources are also less. Yeah. So if you see the intelligence in India has changed, I would say pre-Kargil and post-Kargil, and similarly pre-Bombay, post-Bombay.
True. True. Very true.
So this 2611 of ours and the Kargil, these two things have changed the concept of collection and intelligence operations in India. Yes. So on its own, nobody can function. You have to have a coordinated effort in any and all field, and intelligence also more so. I'll give you one incident to explain this. Was in Arunachal Pradesh. Yeah. So, one day it's right on. I mean, it's right on the border, and then it's China. Or so one day a report came that somebody has been caught. How is that? So and so place. So, being an int officer, one has to go when he's been caught, and a Chinese person has been caught. Basically, was caught, and he was in bad shape, almost delirious, fainting. He had gangrene. Maggots were moving in his wounds. He had a couple of wounds on his left leg. And his right leg was swollen like a tomboysis kind of a leg, like an elephant leg. So brought him back, treated. So there was a whole lot of official cry that throw him back, kill him, this, that, this, that. He's a Chinese national. Somehow something prevailed. He could not understand Hindi or English. I could not understand any of his language, what he was talking. So the translator was brought in and all that. So we realized that it's not all that. So somehow after about few days, he was treated. And I said that we developed understanding. And I said he wanted to work for intelligence. So I said I'll keep him. But it was against the law, against the rule position. He's a Chinese national. So a lot of things went on, and from MHA and all, correspondence went on. So ministries got involved, but somehow prevailed, and I kept him for about almost 3+ months with me. in a particular place.
Safe house?
Well, you understand the thing. So he was kept and he was treated, and his maggots were clean, and he said, "Sir, I owe my life to you. Otherwise, I would have not survived, or uh, he would have been pushed back into China, and they would have caught him and killed him, whatever." So he said, I owe my life to you." And he became one of the sources, and he was developed as source by me. And believe you me, he worked for next many years, and the intelligence he provided was superlative, because and the photographs and things like that, which we were not aware of, such kind of information came in, and it was shared with IB and RAW, and earlier they were not in agreement, but somehow I could convince them that let's keep him, and we could gain permission. Special permissions were granted. It's a normal. It's not at all a normal occurrence. It doesn't happen. You may not be hearing any such parallel of this kind of thing, but it has happened, and that is how I'm trying to say how military intelligence, raw, IB, or police, everybody work together for a common goal, national interest.
Wow.
And that's how we got to know some very, very,
Was he lost?
some very, very important pieces of information, which we were not aware of earlier on.
This gentleman you spoke about, was he lost or astray? Like,
No, he wanted to. He had who was in, uh,
Arunachal?
and she was with the great. So he wanted to go and meet her. That's how he crossed border. But since the terrain is so tough in the en route, he got hurt. He got maggots. He got all this because he was hiding and all. So it's a big long story. I've just put it across, and it is difficult to put across in 3-4 minutes.
True.
But it is the best operation one has carried out in life. I've carried out hundreds and hundreds of operations, but this is something totally different and nowhere in the books, nowhere in any kind of training. I mean, intelligence officers are highly trained people. A good intelligence officer would have done not less than 10, 12 training courses. It's nowhere taught. So some things happen which just happen, and some gut feeling, whatever kind of thing. I said, no, this we keep. And somehow I could convince superior officers, the brigade commander, the corps commander, the GOC, sir, we should keep this boy. And they held my hand. The beauty is the system holds your hand when they see that it's a genuine concern of a person, is not faking it. So it took the correspondence, the permissions, went up and down for 4, 5, 6 months. But we could do that. And once done that, this was one of the supreme kind of intelligence operations.
This question is not something I had prepared, but out of listening to all the stories that you've told me, I'm going to ask you this. So, do you think you were born to be in the Army Intelligence?
Oh, well, you see, born to be army intelligence. I was born to be in army, of course. That was my passion right through. But somehow, after about 8, 9 years of service, when in Sri Lanka, we realized that int craft is also one of the very intriguing kind of options available, which is very, very different from the normal. So, and I mean, that's how it is. And once There is a big selection process for intelligence. There's a selection process for being an army officer. Then there is a selection process for being an int officer in an army.
Yeah.
So, and one has no regrets. I loved it. I love my job and I loved my work which has been done. I still have very, very close relationship with many, what to say, I mean, in ULFA, GKLF, NDFB, you name it, and I have my contacts.
Wow. Why is the Indian intelligence, and I'm talking about the combined, whether it's IB, RAW, MI, I'm talking about combined intelligence, why is it considered the best in the world?
Yes, of course. Because we are certainly one of the best. People talk about Mossad, people talk about MI, CIA. Well, they have the amount of wherewithal, resources they have, and the various things they have vis-a-vis what MI has. Well, is much lesser, but the commitment is much more. That is why military intelligence I consider one of the front runners. And like you read in newspapers, something has happened in Karachi, something has happened in London, somebody's got killed, Canada. So these things are happening not just by chance. Maybe 16 months, 18 months, 12-month work is behind that particular incident which has just happened on a particular day at a particular time. And it is a lot of effort which has gone in beside whatever one sees on the face of it. So this is what the beauty of Indian intelligence people who are working. They're calm, quiet, and not flashy on the screen, but they are there and they are working beautifully well, without doubt. And we are at par with any of the best of the intelligence agencies in the world, whether it is KGB, CIA, Mossad, and you name it. We are one of the best.
So how does the intelligence operate in Kashmir Valley? I'm very curious to know about this. If you can share something with me that is going to be like a story or something. How does the military intelligence operate in Kashmir Valley?
You see, people talk about intelligence that it is a superficial work or something like that. But it is the most intriguing, and you have to be really truthful to your source. It is basically source network. You have to develop source, and the sincerity, if a person comes to know that you are sincere and you will not ditch him, he'll work for you. That is the whole essence of intelligence. It's a cat and mouse game. So it's always what is being shown. There is some much more behind the scene. So the behind the scene, the sincerity of yours must be very, very clear to the source, to your particular individual that you are working with. If that is not there, sooner or later, he will realize that you are just faking it. And this doesn't work. That is my way of doing things. That is how I have relations till date also, and people are ready to put across their life online if I say something. And that is why I have done whatever little work I have done in intelligence field. And as they say, if I have to go back, I'll correct this, I'll correct that. If I have to go back, I'll repeat the same thing. I'm happy the way I've done, and I'm not cheated anybody. One has not done anything wrong with person or the country. That is the biggest feel good factor, I would say, to me. And the way things have come across, we've done it. I've put my life online many a times. God has been kind. That I have survived. Otherwise, I would have died many times over. Because one has done such kind of things that, I mean, it looks like story now, but
Do you feel your life has been a dream so far?
without doubt, I mean, I couldn't have lived a better life than this. I've enjoyed my work fully, and I've enjoyed the respect that has been given to me in the circle equally by my superiors, by my juniors, in the intelligence field, even outside intelligence field. So when well, if Amitabh Joshi has said something, then it means something. One has to, well, that kind of respect I have got, so I got no cribs about it, sir. And I'm very happy the way things have turned out. God has been kind.
That's fantastic. Now, sir, on the other side, so this has been you in the intelligence service and how you functioned. I want to know, do terrorists also have an intelligence cell? How do they operate?
Of course they do. Well, their hierarchy is little different, as one knows. When we talk about their political cell, which is at the top, the leadership, so they have the kind of intelligence head who is there, but the organization is not there as a scaled organization like we have in army or any other government agency. But to work and to carry out operations as far as militant is concerned, they also require intelligence. So they at the lower level, it is not so kind of institutionalized. It depends on that particular terrorist how he develops his intelligence, or a group of terrorists. Like in one lot, a group of 5, 6 people will come inside India. They infiltrate like that. So that particular group will run its own intelligence cell, if I may stretch, if I may use the term loosely. So they will talk to some people and collect intelligence and work accordingly. So it's not like they're like kind of structured organization is not there as far as they are concerned.
But
But they do have intelligence. They have girls collecting intelligence. They have boys collecting intelligence. They call them OGWs, overground workers, underground workers. So all these people are basically collecting intelligence and providing them bits and bits of information as and when required.
so while they are not structured, they are not organized, they still manage to collect information.
Yes, they do.
And are they able to execute using the...
Sometime yes, sometime no, depending on the type of operation. Then earlier on, when the militancy was at its peak, they did carry out certain int-based operations, but after that,
So here is a question which might, sound a little sharp to you. But why was there an intelligence failure when the Bombay attack happened, sir?
Intelligence failure. You see, operational. There's a two aspect of any operation. One is operational aspect, another is intelligence aspect. So if I am the operational head, how many times will I go and tell public or media that look, yaar, the operation got botched up because I did not carry out my teachings or drills correctly. There was a fault of mine. So all I'll do is fault is his. So who is the next person standing next to him? Intelligence person. So whose fault it is? His. How many people are there who will say, yes, it was my fault and I committed a mistake here? That is how this has happened. Having said that, no blame game. I'm not here to say operation people are bad or int people are bad. No. Int picture is never complete. There will always be gap. You perceived a particular scenario, and if it does fit in, it's a good. If it does not fit in that particular scenario the way you have thought about or painted it, something has gone wrong. The operation will go wrong. So that is how it goes. Coming on to the specific aspect of 2611, there were feelers given that there was boat which was caught. There were feelers that they were trying to come in, but it was not expected that they will come so blatantly in Bombay. There were feelers for 9/11 in America also, but it was ignored. So we never talk about the information or the inputs which were ignored or were not taken seriously. So the blame comes on intelligence.
So that means what you're saying is that Kasab entered India and the intelligence did give feelers saying something is going on.
Yes, yes.
लेकिन execution नहीं हुआ उस पे.
I mean, there were gaps. Intelligence will never be complete. There are always gap in any kind of intelligence operation, and you have to search for that gap or fill in the gap whichever way possible. In this case also, there was a boat capsized, caught earlier on. There was a report that there are some terrorists who are trying to come inside. There will always be gap, but people were not serious about it till then. After that, nothing has happened. For so many years, we have been safeguarding our borders so nicely and the hinterland. How? Because the intelligence which is coming little bit or more, whichever way it comes, it is being given full credence and is not taken lightly.
So I noticed one thing while talking to you and also while speaking to Major General Prabdeep Singh Bahal. I often refer to him in my podcast because I really liked him not just as a human being, but my interaction with him was fantastic, and I'm having the same experience with you. I noticed not just both of you, the more people, they always refer to pre-Kargil, post-Kargil. You just did that. Pre-2611, post-2611. What was the switch, if you can give it to me in a snapshot? Why do you refer to these as points, like major, I would say, milestones or landmarks?
Of course, in anyone's life, there are certain things which you will consider that pre and post of that particular event. It happens in individual life also. Something happened, some new thing has happened, so you will have that. Similarly, in intelligence or the national history also. You see, there are two biggest events which have happened. Kargil, it's called intelligence failure. No, it is not intelligence failure. It was known that people are there. It was given in writing that there are people who are sitting, something is happening on the high reaches. But the gravity and the extent of it was not fathomed. It was not imagined that it will turn out to be like this and it will almost take us to war. So it is one big milestone after all. So many people lost their lives. Had this correction would have been done initially, probably would not have happened. Similarly, in Bombay, the same. There were feelers that something is going to happen. People are trying to sneak inside Bombay. But the dots were not corrected properly, or probably they were not joined together, the dots. After all, intelligence is because it is coming in bits and pieces. If it is not coming in bits and pieces, then it is not intelligence.
True.
Then you know it, that's a fact. So you have to collect bits of pieces of information and draw out a broad picture of it and understand what is going to happen when. This is how the intelligence works. This was carried out, not carried out, how much was carried out is the moot question here.
So please share a story that has had a life-changing impact on you, or something that has genuinely impacted your life.
One story I told you, Captain, in the way. And because he is such a young officer, and he lost his life for the country. So somehow I feel the way um, these things happen, you have no control over them, because once the bullets start firing, and then there is then it is not anything planned, it will just happen, action reaction. So life changing is, I feel that uh, this young boy was such an energetic and lovely officer, and he is no more with us because of that particular fateful day, that thing particular happened. And another incident which I recall is Colonel Purohit. He was my death commander. And he got posted out and he went to Bombay, and these things happened. What happened? Colonel Prasad Purohit, very fine gentleman officer, and he did nothing wrong. But somehow things did not work over there. And whether the case is in final position now, and he is winning the case because he was a true officer to the core, and he was very, very fine worker. So for whatever reason these things happened, that's for the court to see. So these things do affect me. Why such good officers have been lost? One by the has been taken by the destiny, and another very fine officer. And somehow things are not working out for him now. But let's see how the case goes. Prasad Purohit is we had done some very fantastic, good operations with him. He was my dead commander.
Who do you consider a guru or a mentor in your career? There is somebody, I'm sure everybody has that one person, if you're genuinely successful in life, who's impacted you. You've had a person leading you. So in your career, who has been your guru or mentor?
That's when I had such a big, long career, and one has come across many such officers who one feels they're such ideal and good people. But as far as intelligence is concerned, I think Brigadier S.P. Singh was one of the very, very good officer, and he taught me a lot. He was my dead commander in the initial stages in Valley, and the way he was very calm, quiet, unassuming Sikh officer, and his patience, his perseverance, and he would sit through the night with the source, make him keep drinking. The source is talking and he is listening. He would speak one sentence after 15 minutes, half an hour. So that kind of patience he had. How many people love her? We keep narrating, I did this, I did that, he did that, this thing happened when I was quiet. And you keep on listening. हाँ अच्छा ऐसा हुआ, okay. फिर क्या हुआ, okay, okay, और बताओ. So he will just make other person talk, and he'll keep collecting the bits and pieces of information from. That's the beauty of. So he, very fine gentleman, Sikh officer. So I think that the art of listening, I learned from him. And then he will analyze the whole thing, and he said this. And he had that stamina for hours. He will keep talking to the person. So I think I learned a lot from him, and he was a very fine person as a gentleman and as an officer and as an int officer, everything.
Fantastic.
Whatever little I have learned, I owe it to him.
So we have come to almost the end of our conversation, and this is my last question to you. This is not a planned question, but this is something that I want to ask you purely based on our interaction that has happened, and the fact that you've had a 40-year career in the army. There is a lot of action happening in the Northeast, Bangladesh. There is a lot of involvement of the CIA and ISI in both locations, Bangladesh and the Northeast region. So this is my guess, based on whatever little research, what is available in public domain, what keeps coming out in podcast. What is your assessment of what is happening in Bangladesh and what is going to happen?
And this crystal gazing thing is not really a job of int people. We believe in kind of hard facts, what is there, and whatever intelligence has been gathered from there, one tries to build up a scenario that is going to unfold in future. So it's not exactly crystal gazing, but it is based on the events and their relationship. That is what the intelligence is all about. I mean, what is happening in Bangladesh is being orchestrated by certain powers that there are. And it is basically targeted to destabilize India.
That's true. Why, sir?
Of course, nobody wants India to come up as a superpower or a power to be today. China doesn't want it. US doesn't want it. Who wants that another power with so much of capability and capacity should be standing in front? They all want themselves to be superpowers and others to be below them. It's a normal human tendency, if I may say so. So they are trying to do anything and everything to stagnate the progress of India, which we are doing. And hats off to our whole system that we are moving forward with, despite all these pressures that there are. But still we are moving forward, and today we are regarded as one of the most friendly nation, most powerful nation, one of the very powerful nation in the region. China doesn't like it. US doesn't like it. Nobody likes it. And that some power should come up and the superb leadership that we are progressing. So that's how it is.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a fantastic conversation that I've had with you. And I know that we are going to meet again. I know that I will be inviting you once again. Your stories are phenomenal. And I was not expecting such beautiful stories coming from you. You're generally you're quiet, and your persona is such that when I met you and we were warming up, that's what I'm going to call over coffee. I was not expecting such a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart once again. And I really look forward to seeing you again at Arun Bhagwati Chronicles, sir.
Thank you. This is one of the hallmarks of int officer. You should be unassuming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So nice of you to have hosted me here. And thank you for all you.
You're welcome, sir.
Good.